I just got back from watching the brand new Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie, and the question on everyone's mind is it garbage or is it great? I'll be giving my thoughts and criticisms based off my initial viewing of the film. Fair warning, there will be some spoilers in this video, and I can't guarantee that I will remember every detail in the film properly. The movie opens with two girls in the old Freddy Fazbear's location. One girl sees a boy get abducted and taken to the back of Freddy's to presumably be killed. Then she tries to alert some of the adults in the restaurant to the kidnapping that just occurred, but they all ignore her. After she is ignored, she decides to go to the back by herself to try to save this boy. She sees the boy laying on the ground, and when the kidnapper, which if you know Five Nights at Freddy's lore is William Afton, isn't looking, she picks up his body and tries to get him out of there. But the kidnapper chases her. She gets stabbed in the back by the kidnapper, and then collapses on stage holding the boy and screaming in front of everyone in the restaurant. And they all stop to look. She then falls underground through a trapdoor on the floor, and then the marionette pops up and is holding her dead body. The first scene is actually quite bad. I was pretty worried for the rest of the movie after seeing the first scene. First off, the acting wasn't very good at all in this part. It reminded me a lot of those Disney Channel movies, and that's not a compliment. Not just the acting from the kids, but the adults as well. The whole premise was also super unrealistic. A young girl screaming at adults in public, saying there's something wrong, and asking multiple adults with children of their own to help her, and they all just tell her to go away? I don't have any kids myself, and I don't plan on having any, but if someone, especially a kid, came up to me in public and was screaming that they need help, instinctively I would be a bit alarmed, and I would at the very least want to ascertain what's going on, even simply from a self-preservation perspective. In addition to that, their responses were also ridiculous and unrealistic. Like, one of the women straight up responded with something like, "Go away, kid, the adults are speaking here." Next, when she screams, everyone stares at her. She then collapses and falls through a trapdoor, and her lifeless body is brought back up by an animatronic puppet, and everyone is still just standing there doing nothing but staring, going like, "Oh my gosh." No one is calling for help or doing anything or trying to see if she's okay. It's so nonsensical. After that disastrous scene, it cuts to 20 years later to the daughter of William Afton, Vanessa, who was also in the first scene of the movie as a child and warned the girl who got killed not to go to the back of Freddy's. And I'm pretty sure she's the police officer who shot William Afton in the first movie. Anyways, she's on the phone with Mike from the first movie and they arrange a date together. Mike wants to move on from all the Freddy stuff and live a normal life, but his sister Abby, also from the first movie, keeps talking about the animatronics and how much she misses them and is waiting for them to come back. Mike gives her false hope by telling her he can fix them. While he's on the date with Vanessa, she tells him he needs to come clean and tell Abby the truth, that the animatronics are gone for good. But he seems hesitant. He wants Abby to move on, but he doesn't want to tell her the full truth. This is also mirrored in how Vanessa hides a lot of stuff about the past from Mike, which is something that comes up throughout the movie. Then there's these people from this paranormal documentary show that investigates spooky stuff, and they show up to the old location to meet the son of William Afton, Michael Afton. Michael then gives them a tour of the place, but they all end up getting killed by the animatronics. In that scene, there's a bunch of jump scares, and some of them are pretty bad and laughable. I'm personally not a fan of jump scares at all, but it definitely makes sense that a movie like this would have them. And hey, that's a trademark feature of the video games. Though they weren't much of a scare. I went to the cinema at 2 p.m. and there weren't many people in the theater, but at one of the jump scares, a lot of the people, including myself, audibly laughed because of how ridiculous it was. It cut to an image of one of the little marionettes and played a loud sound like it was something out of a YouTube poop. Now I don't want to recap the entire movie, so I'll just talk about some scenes or parts that stood out to me and give my thoughts on the movie more broadly. It was quite satisfying to see Abby's teacher, Mr. Berg, get his head crushed by Toy Chica, especially when he kept trying to humiliate her in front of everyone and destroyed her science fair project on purpose. I just wish I had an animatronic to do that to some of my teachers from when I was back in school. The scene where Vanessa confronts William Afton in her dreams is definitely one of the better scenes in the movie. You can feel the tension in the scene, and it's more like psychological horror. There's no animatronics or anything gory. You can tell the guy who plays William Afton was very into his role, and I think he had the best performance in the entire film. He really sold the part, especially in that scene. In the later part of the movie, it started to seriously remind me of the Goosebumps movie, because all the animatronics broke free and were running around all over the place throughout the town causing mayhem. Speaking of that, there are some serious plot holes relating to it. Like, if it was so easy to disable the thing that was keeping all of the animatronics on the restaurant premises, why was it so hard for them to re-enable it? And if they were able to keep the animatronics contained in the first place, why didn't they have a way to disable them from moving at all entirely? I will say though, I did enjoy the scene where Mike was basically doing a live-action roleplay of the game where he had to put on the Freddy mask to avoid being detected. There was also some nice fan service when they almost recreated the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 game trailer shot for shot in one of the scenes, when they showed the old withered animatronics and then showed Toy Bonnie. During the end credits of the movie, they played the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 song by the Living Tombstone. That was a nice touch, but I anticipated it considering they used the first Five Nights at Freddy's song by the Living Tombstone in the end credits of the first movie. Ironically enough, I'm pretty sure I originally found out about Five Nights at Freddy's because of the Living Tombstone. I've always been a fan of My Little Pony, and that's how I found their music. By the way, if you want to see their live performance on my channel, click the link in the description, it's pretty good. Anyways, there's also a post-credits scene where they set up the third movie by showing William Afton in the Springtrap suit, which was neat but predictable obviously. Something I noticed and didn't enjoy was how they shoehorned in curse words, not because it offended me at all or anything, but it just seemed forced and corny, like they were trying to make the movie edgy or something. There wasn't that many, after all it is PG-13, but I think they took advantage of the fact that they could use the words and just did it instead of thinking about how it would impact the quality of the film. Outside of the first scene of the film, the acting was quite solid in my opinion. I'd say Mike, Abby, William Afton, and Michael Afton especially did a good job selling their characters. I think they took some creative liberties when creating the movies in terms of it diverging a bit from the canon story. Though I'm no longer a Five Nights at Freddy's lore expert like I used to be, so I wouldn't know for sure. The pacing of the film was pretty decent, although I think the film was wearing out its welcome with the 1 hour 45 minute running time. I think they could have cut some things and the film would have been better for it. It didn't feel like a drag or anything, but it did feel like it went on a bit too long and the pacing toward the end felt a bit wonky. There was also some nice foreshadowing, though it was kind of obvious, like the girl that later possessed the marionette had these black and white stripes on the sleeves of her shirt. The special effects were a bit hit or miss, but most of the time they were pretty good. These days, with even an amateur budget, I think you can do a lot with special effects convincingly, simply because of the level of technology we have today. But I do wonder how this will age in 10, 15, or 20 plus years into the future. I doubt that time will be as kind to it. So, is the movie garbage or is it great? I'd say it's somewhere in between. It's decent, not bad, but kinda mediocre. Overall, I'd give this movie a 6 out of 10. It wasn't anything spectacular or moving, but for what it's worth, I think it was decent and delivered on what it set out to do. It was an enjoyable watch, but I'm not dying to see it again anytime soon. Keep in mind that I grew up with the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. The first game came out when I was 9 years old, and I found out about the game franchise right around the time the second game came out. And from the moment I found out about it, watched videos about it, and played the games, I was absolutely hooked. I was downright obsessed with Five Nights at Freddy's for years. With that being said, I'm not going to let childhood nostalgia blind me from the flaws of the film or make me view it more favorably than I otherwise would. And I don't want to be seen as a Five Nights at Freddy's hater, because I've been a fan of the franchise from the beginning in 2014. I have to be real, and the movie is just okay. Just because it has the lore that we all know and love, and the characters we grew up with, doesn't mean the movie is automatically the best thing since sliced bread. Truth be told, adapting video games to the big screen isn't really the best idea. I can think of so many great games that really missed the mark when they were adapted to shows or movies. It's even considered a feat when a movie based off of a video game franchise isn't bad or complete garbage. I think this is primarily because video games are the peak entertainment experience because of how interactive they are. It's like you become part of the story, and you control the experience yourself. Whereas with a movie, that depth in terms of the way you experience it isn't really there. On top of that, the whole horror genre doesn't do much for me either. It's not my cup of tea, and horror movies aren't scary to me at all. I think once you know enough about the real world, the horrors of our reality greatly dwarf the horrors in film. If I wanted to be truly disturbed or frightened, I would just read the Wikipedia entries for the Cambodian genocide, or the Guantanamo Bay Detention Center, or watch Dominion. Links in the description, by the way. In conclusion, the movie was alright. It was enjoyable, but nothing amazing. I plan on watching the third one whenever it comes out, so stay tuned for whenever that will be. Thanks for watching. Peace.